you had a story that was it was very emotional and inspiring, and you're able to push forward from that time. You
Well,
want to talk about it.
I, I I mentioned early on, my father died when I was 4 years old. So never really having a father or father figure was kind of it's something now, even at 55, 51 years later, I still um never got past it. I just never emotionally got past it, have been um I never healed. I'll put it that way. Never healed from that. And what was it 14, 15 years later, then my mother passes away, both from cancer. So my mom passed away when I was 18, and now I'm hit with no parents. And at that point in my life, we found out my mom was sick with cancer when I was 16, and she was fighting against it for a couple years. And at that point in my life, I was really a complete screw up in school and high school. I also thought, or I was also going down the path of, I thought I was going to be a rock star, and I was going to be this big, like Motley Crue or somebody, and make all this money and be this big time crazy rock star. Not that I ever really tried to learn to play my instrument well. I was too busy teasing my hair up and making myself look pretty instead of trying to be pretty on the guitar. But my mom came up with the idea um, to buy me a pizza shop because she knew I was not going to be a rock star. I was trying to set me up with a life plan, but she knew she was dying. So she buys me this pizza shop, lets me drop out of high school, and 9 months later, she passes away. And I literally, that morning, January 8th of 1989, um, I came home from the hospital. I walked back in my house to work with my sister, um, 7:30 in the morning. Went in the refrigerator, popped open a beer, and I used to, casually drink at that time as a kid. Um, and I just started drinking nonstop, nonstop. Um, even to this day, I drink a lot, and I'm not saying that's the solution for me or for anybody. Um, it's been a tough road. You don't realize, and at time it's crazy when you say to yourself, I don't know if it was a blessing losing my parents early or um torture, and it's been torture. But I I live every day asking myself with the what ifs. What if my dad had lived? What if my mom lived? What if they were still alive? What would my life look like? How much of a different person would I be? Would I be a better person? I would hope I would be a more structured person. Um, so I think if they lived and I had them for a lot longer in my life, how hard would that blow be when they find, you know what I mean? It's like the mind games. The mind really is a tricky thing. So I've gone through my life just battling um the situation with my parents and battling depression from a very young age. And I actually, like, just this past Friday, I was in such a slump. And there's lots of times where I get in those slumps and I will either A, start drinking, B, just go in the bed with the covers over my head. And I just want to escape the day and hopefully get to the next day and hopefully it'll be better. So I really just something I battle, and I've battled all my life. And in turn, it's weird because I'm always very open and honest with myself, with people, fans, friends, family. Um, and I become like quietly, like almost a spokesperson or therapist to a lot of fans. A lot of them, because I am open and they hear me talk about this stuff on interviews, and then they'll say to me, "Hey, like, I'm going through this," and I end up like sitting and talking online with people to try to help them. And I start each day. I try to get it in the morning before I go to work. Sometimes it's a little later in the day, but I try to start the day off um with a quote. I'll come up with a positive motivational quote for the day, and I end it with, "It's going to be a great fucking day." And I literally was in a slump one day, and I was laying in bed, and my girlfriend had Steve Harvey on. He does like these motivational talks.
Mhm.
And he was talking, and I was listening to him, and was just saying, it could be a bad day for you. You could be down in the dumps. You've been going through this, going through that, blah, 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 blah. But you're here, and you have the choice and the opportunity to make it a great day. And that was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it just stuck with me and resonated. And I was like, you know what? No matter how in the dumps I am, no matter how depressed I am, I'm going to start it with that quote and that saying that I'm going to come up and make up myself, or I'll sometimes steal like a song lyric and pop it in there. But I want to try to help people have a great fucking day, and I'm trying to. I'm not. I am by far saying I am having a great day. I'm trying just as hard as you and the next person to make it a great fucking day. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's never easy losing
No,
important people in your life, and especially people like your parents who helped raise you and make you the person who you are. Um,
it's
so
crazy. Like, you know, even like now, my fiance will ask me a question about my parents, and for the most part, I can pretty much kind of answer it about my mother, but I can't answer it about my father because I was 4 years old. I like have a handful of memories of my dad, and it's kind of weird. And I literally have two pictures. I have a picture of me and my father when I was a newborn baby, and I have one picture of me, my dad, my mom, and my sister. The only family picture I have of the four of us. So it's kind of weird. Like that's all I have. My my family, my original family.
yeah, I mean, it really is devastating when you have those losses in your life, and you got to find it from within to be able to push yourself forward. And you really have to discipline yourself, just like with the wrestling. You have to discipline yourself to prevent yourself from going down that dark path, consuming.
So easy to go down that dark. I mean, it's literally, and I don't know if you're a person that deals with depression but I'm sure anybody out there that does deal with depression, they can tell you at any moment, it's literally like any moment you can go off the track and off the rails and be in that depression. And it's like a real fine line. And it's a constant battle and struggle.